Alrighty. Welcome back into the Royals rotation. My name's Gabe. That's Rudy. And today, Royals win 13-9 over the Minnesota Twins. They clinch their first series of the season. Um, Maybe a little closer from comfort than where we would like this game to go. But the Royals, I think they led the entire way. They offensively had their best game of the season so far. The outfield stepped up in a huge way, both offensively and defensively, dealing with some pretty crappy conditions in Kansas City. But overall, you know, beating a division rival, beating a pitcher that has been kind of a house of horrors for the Kansas City Royals since he's been in Minnesota. Overall, pretty good night. So, Rudy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm tired. It's been a late night. It's about a 3 hour game, I believe, just
Yeah.
over a 3 hour game that the Royals just went through. But they come out with a win. Yeah, I think where do you want to start with this one? Because there's some negatives and there's some positives to take from this one. Where do you want to start with this one?
Well, first I'll just start with some positives. We talked about towards the beginning of the season how we needed production out of our outfield. Well, that's really the big time production today at least. 7 and 8, 9 hitters. Obviously all of our outfielders were hitting today and getting on base. Tags went 3 for 4 with a double. Isaiah Collins went 1 for 3, had a double, a walk, and an RBI. And Isbell, most important, went 4 for 4 with a home run, and that is his second career 4 hit game.
Yeah, I think altogether 10 for 16 from the Royals outfield. And I mean, didn't get to talk about the Monday game. It was the first time recording since the Sunday win against the Braves. Um, but in the Monday game, it was also the outfield at a much lower scale, but it was, Kyle Isbell 2 run home run and a Isaac Collins solo home run that got the Royals over the line against the Twins in game one. So yeah, the out
Against Simeon Woods Richardson.
Simeon
Like I
Wood.
said,
Very so. I mean, the outfield really have so. I mean, the outfield has won them this series. Um, and I said, I mean, said it in the intro that the fact that they didn't have very many errors in what was really crappy conditions, like there was fog, like the stadium was completely fogged up, rain was coming down pretty consistently after about the second inning, and the Royals I think handled it really well in the outfield. Another positive I want to talk about here, Noah Cameron. Um, he doesn't quite get the quality start. Was one short, but he goes 5 innings of 1 run ball. I think it was 5 strikeouts, and just a really solid game from him. Obviously, there's always like they were talking about in the broadcast, like what about this? What about Noah Cameron can tell you that like it's not going to be a sophomore slump for the guy after having such a great rookie year? And I think one thing they brought up was the fact that he doesn't rely on 1 or 2 pitches. He's got a full arsenal that usually all works in his favor, and it's very he's very trying to think of the right word to use for him. Um, I'm not sure, but he has a lot of routes to his game. So really liked what I saw from Noah Cameron today. What about you?
yeah, I mean, I towards the end of his outing, it seemed like he was getting hit kind of hard, and um, I think that's just part of going through the lineup, kind of that bottom lineup the second time and through the third time once again through the order. But yeah, he looked pretty solid. 5 Ks through as many innings pitched. Um, Only 1 run, and yeah, didn't really put the Royals in danger at any point, unlike some other pitchers we're gonna talk about later. But yeah,
And said we didn't talk about the Monday game. Chris Bubich does deliver a quality start, gives up 6 innings of one-run ball. Um, Keep it short on him then. I mean, so far we've got a full run through this rotation. Cole Reagans is the only one who's really delivered a bad performance. The rest of them have been delivering quality starts or just straight up win in Cameron's case, but very good outings so far from this rotation that we have a lot of high hopes for. But as far as other positives to take from the
Well,
series,
actually, should we sandwich it a little bit? Should we go negative? Should we just get in the negative right now and then end it with maybe a positive or
sure.
two?
As long as we can end the negatives with the one that I think is the one I want to talk about.
Yeah, that's fine. I honestly, his is probably as bad as another person,
Yep.
but we'll lead it off with someone that wasn't as bad. Alex Lang gave up 2 runs in his um work in relief.
Yeah.
Wa- Wasn't too solid as we saw in his season debut. But
He was very fortunate in my opinion that he didn't get more damage done to him. He had bases loaded with no outs. He gets an out, ends up giving up a run, but then Steven Cruz comes in, gets a strikeout and a pop out to end the inning. I think he was very fortunate, but in the end, sometimes you need some fortune to go your way. But a very rough outing for him.
the next guy, Daniel Lynch,
Yeah,
3 earned runs. He was just rough. Basically, it seemed like from the beginning. I don't know if it was the mound or if it just he didn't seem to have it. And which is kind of interesting because honestly, the innings we have seen him in, I think he's pitched 2 other times before this. He's looked solid. So it was a little shocking to see him give up 3 runs. I was thinking maybe a run or two, but yeah, he seemed pretty frustrated with himself. But yeah, he real poopy out there.
yeah, and we're gonna get into this to the last guy in a second here, but you know with Lynch, I'm fairly confident he can bounce back from it and he'll be fine. Like at least somewhat confident. Um, and I'll save the rest of kind of what my point is for later. Is there any other real negative before we get to the main guy here that you want to talk about?
No, I think we should be good.
Okay. So, here's what I don't want to do. Okay, because I've been listening to a lot of not just like people talk baseball, but I've listened to a lot of people talk hockey and football and different sports. And whenever they go out and like bash a player, sometimes they kind of go over the top with it, and then it makes it kind of lose any meaning because you're like, oh, you're just being like facetious about it. So I sent a very mean thing to you um, earlier tonight. I don't want to do that here. I want to just
Okay.
speak on. I want to keep it factual.
Okay.
So Bailey Falter goes out in this game. He gets the ninth inning. I've already shared my displeasure with that Bailey Falter got this spot. I understand the reasoning. I don't agree with that reasoning, but I do understand why they went. Bailey Falter then goes out there and he gives a 3-run home run. And that was the moment where everyone collectively went, "Oh shit." They had controlled the game. They were up 12-1. And even when Lynch gave up his bad rally, Isbell then answered with a solo homer that kind of stunted their momentum. And then Lang has his rough inning. But even after that, when Cruz gets Lang out of that situation, I told you, I feel like a lot of people thought, okay, we're good. We're good. That was their moment. They had bases loaded with nobody out, and they only got 1 run. That's it. They've lost their momentum. It's over. Bailey Falter then goes out there and gives up the 3-run home run. He then gives up the single. He gives up the walk, and it turns into a save situation. And the Royals are forced to go throw Lucas Erceg out there to go get a save that should have been insanely unnecessary. There should have been no reason the Royals find themselves in that position. So my main conclusion is whenever as I said, like with the three guys who struggled tonight, Lynch, I'm confident can bounce back from that. Like I think he'll be fine. Whenever Matt Quatrero announced this bullpen the way he did, I think there was a big question mark over Alex Lang and Bailey Falter. And one of the reasons was, it was kind of an experiment with those two because they didn't have many minor league options on them. It was to see what they have while they let Berger warm up in AAA and Avila. They start Avila in AAA and they give these guys a chance, see what they have. Alex Lang, I will say he is very concerning. I think tonight was insanely concerning, but I'm not to the point of saying time to give up on Alex Lang. Bailey Falter should not pitch another inning for the Kansas City Royals. We saw him come over in the trade deadline. He sucked. He wasn't very good in spring training. He gets his first few innings in the Braves game. He wasn't very good. And we let it go because it felt irrelevant. Now, he goes out in this game and he sucks again. How many times do you suck the air out of the room before they boot your ass out of the room?
Like, or you kill everyone in it from suffocation.
Yeah, so I think the experiment with him, I think, is decided because, unlike Alex Lang, you have further evidence from last season to say this guy still sucks. So I don't know if you go that far as to say he should be I'm not interested in seeing him pitch anymore for the Royals.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the talent that we have, that's fair to say, especially with how he's been pitching. I mean, I feel like it's a little too early in the season to. I mean, it's a little rough, I guess. I think maybe because he hasn't pitched as much.
Thing is, with because today Matt Quatrero also, the Royals in general made a move that I extremely agree with. I think we both extremely agree with. We said at the time it needed to happen, and they took the necessary steps to do it, which was Carlos Estevez is now on the IL. He is seemingly done being the closer for the foreseeable future. They made that adjustment. Erceg is the closer now. He's comfortable there. We know he's capable. And they brought in Steven Cruz, who I don't like. I know we talked about maybe it's Avila, but I don't mind it being Cruz because he has some experience there, so I don't mind it at all. If there's a guy that I think you put Avila up for, I think it's Bailey Falter. I don't understand. It's okay, with Estevez, you were able to identify very quickly this guy doesn't have it. It's time. I would rather, make a harsh decision than let this guy continue to cost me runs. And I feel like as much as Falter isn't a closer, he got the ninth inning and he got insanely close to doing what Estevez did.
Yeah, he only got an out.
Got one out. Put a save. Went into that inning up 7 runs, and then had it get turned into a save situation. So, and as I said, it's not just the 2 outings he's had this year. This is also last year, where he was awful. And I don't see any evidence with him in a Royals jersey where I'm like, yeah, I think there's something there with this guy. So I don't know what I don't know what more you really need to see with this guy before you're like okay, this guy just doesn't have it. Maybe maybe he had it in, was it Pittsburgh? Was that where he came from?
Yeah.
Maybe he had it there. He does not have it right now, and he hasn't had it since he put on a Royals jersey. I just don't know. I don't know what else you need to see with the guy. As I said, Alex Lang, he had a rough outing as well. I'm more willing. I mean, the other one was Nick Mears, and so far, Nick Mears, I like what I see.
I was about to say he was pretty solid. That was actually one of my positives that I had.
Yeah, we'll
Nick
we'll get
Mears going.
good.
Oh, go ahead. Yep. No, we were fine.
Okay.
We'll wait.
Well, I want to hear what you have to say about Falter before we move on to
Yeah,
Mears.
yeah. I mean, like you pointed out, basically kind of put the Royals in almost the same situation that Estevez did, except is the Twins, not the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was the Braves, we definitely would have been punished for our mistakes. Um, so yeah, Bailey Falter, like you said, doesn't really seem to have it. I mean, it seemed like maybe he might have something when he went in against the Braves, but um, because I think he had like 2 or 3 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, he was like I think he was solid in that. But other than yeah, it's just not been doing too good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was my big negative. I think that was anyone's big negative towards this team. I think that, but as I said, like, and I guess the way you wrap it together is, you know, Cotrero in the Royals with the Estevez situation, I think acted about as well as you could with it. Once you realize, okay, like this guy's velocity is gone, he doesn't have the command. They didn't, stay stubborn and like we're gonna let him try to build up his velocity and keep giving him chances to close. Instead, they threw him on the IL, and it's now basically, hey, wait till he gets his velocity back up if he does. And this whole experimentation with the bullpen with guys like Lang and Falter, I'm getting more and more like, what's the leash on Falter? Because I don't think he should have a very long leash. And what he's showing, I'm like, I think, man, fucking pull the leash now because I'm done watching that mother. Every time I see that motherfucker show up on my screen, I'm thinking, oh shit, here we fucking go with this guy. But moving in to the final positives. I know you said one. I'm gonna bring up Jonathan India. He's a guy who I think has caught a lot of flack. I think deservedly so for what happened last year. I think he had a disappointing year, and it's very very short into the year. We don't know what's gonna come from this. Hits a grand slam. I mean, probably not. No, it's not the best. I mean, because he had the walk off against Classe last year, but it is good to see from a guy that whenever he was traded for, you had a lot of high hopes for the guy to kind of really slot in well for second base, and it just never worked out that way. But with Massey currently still, even though I think he's now on rehab, um, it's good to see him kind of have that moment, just especially with how important that grand slam ended up becoming with it being a 4-run game.
Yeah, I mean, this was a guy, and I mean, even I talked about it. Didn't do great last season. Very underperforming, very underwhelming. When we traded for him, was projected to be our leadoff guy, and was our leadoff guy for majority of that first quarter of the season. Um, but just couldn't really get his footing last season. Um, and it's kind of nice to see. It seems like he has a little bit more confidence in this homestand. So it's nice to see him kind of build that back up. Um, but yeah, I'd put this Grand Slam above the Classe walk off because we don't know if Classe was he could have thrown that meatball if he could have gambled on it.
that that Clase home run also came with the added bonus that he had already hit India in the past right in the face. And so the fact that India got to, and also it's just the fact that it was his last pitch since he got suspended.
It was his, yeah, it was his,
It was the
yeah.
last pitch he's thrown in the MLB was Jonathan India going yard on him. So I don't
Telling you,
know.
man.
It's tight. It's tight for sure. What do you have to say on Nick Mears? Because I know we kind of started on that, but
Yeah, Nick Mears, 1 inning pitched in relief. 2Ks looked pretty solid. Honestly, from what I've seen from Nick Mears, I really like his slider. Really solid stuff. Very excited to watch it through the rest of the season. So hopefully he can keep this clip that he has going right now. He's been really solid so far in relief pitching.
yeah, I think it's his second time out of the bullpen. He got three, but he also went 3 up, 3 down in the. I think it was the win against the. Was it the game against the Braves?
Yeah, probably.
I think it was the game 2 loss. I think he had like the 7th inning or something, or the 6th inning against
He
the
might have.
Braves. But either way, um, feel like so we talked about Isbell. I think the one thing it's not exactly a positive, but I mean it is like the outfield kept setting up the top of the rotation, the top of the lineup to break the
Yeah.
game open, and it felt like they never really did it. It felt like it had to be India who kind of broke the game open, and it was like kind of pop outs, like hey, we have 2 different times we had bases loaded with 1 out, and the top of the lineup was just not really driving it in. It had to be other people getting it in after the outfield put him in really good situations. So it's kind of something to look out for because I think they just if you can put those two together. Because right now it was a lot of hey, like especially early, it was like singles from the outfield and some sac flies from like Bobby that got in some runs. I think if you can start really combining that together more, you don't, and it won't even be like, hey, you need to go score 13 runs, but you'll put together more consistent displays because it wasn't like when we got to 5 runs, that was the most runs we had scored so far this year. So it was nice. I said it was really nice to see the bottom of that lineup that after the Brave series we kind of railed in on for how badly they played. The likes of Isaac Collins and well Izzy, I don't think we went as hard on Izzy. I think Lane Thomas, who wasn't a part of this, ironically, but Collins did step up. I will 100% give Isaac Collins some credit, not just for this game, but also he had the home run in game 1. So credit to him. Is there anything else you want to break down here, Rudy?
No, I think I'm set.
Alrighty, well, thank you all for joining us. We will be back tomorrow for, I think it'll be a full breakdown of the whole series, and then we'll look forward to the next. I don't have it in front of me right now. Let me see. Who do they have coming up next? Milwaukee. So we'll break down the Brewers series, but thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.